There are growing concerns that this unfolding disaster in Texas could be a warning about climate disasters in the future. We want to bring in Gina McCarthy. She is the first ever White House National Climate Advisor, and she was also the EPA administrator during the Obama administration. Director McCarthy, good morning. Thanks for waking up with us. As you know well, there are three major energy grids in the continental U.S., one basically for the East, one for the West, and then there's Texas that is effectively an island here. Is it time for Texas's independent grid to join those more national systems? And what's the federal government's responsibility here?
Well, we certainly have been talking about all the challenges in Texas. And the first thing I have to say is my heart goes out to everybody in Texas. And I know that President Biden has sent a team of folks out, not just FEMA, but across the federal government to bring blankets and generators and food. So hopefully that folks will be stepping up here for the people in Texas. You know, in terms of the failure in the power grid, I think that Texas has been recommended to really connect and make sure there's resilience in their system, like every other state, to be able to seek help from other states and other areas when these types of disasters hit. And you're right, this is one of those weather events that we shouldn't think of being unpredictable at this point. We are going to be facing these extreme weather events and challenges, and we have to be prepared. So I think Texas will be fully prepared to see whether or not it's time for them to connect to the grid, get that resilience in the system, and make sure that we're all doing everything we can to protect one another.
And Director McCarthy, when we look to the future and what needs to be done, let me ask you about something that Texas Governor Greg Abbott said. He said, quote, "Our wind and our solar got shut down. It just shows that fossil fuel is necessary." Is that the takeaway from this week, Director?
I don't think people believe that's the takeaway. Look, wind is about 9 to 12% of the resources that Texas relies on. Wind did better than natural gas and coal in terms of their reliability during this process. But that there's time for those types of discussions. It's not surprising that people would criticize, renewable energy. It seems to be what people do. But we've got to get serious about this. We've got to get serious about protecting those people, getting through this disaster, doing a close look. But honestly, we have to take climate a lot more seriously, which is why the president is really initiating a whole of government approach to this. So we start taking it with the seriousness it deserves.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Director McCarthy. Just to be clear, there is a very ambitious plan from the Biden administration right now. $2 trillion to spend on this effort. Given that we're in the middle of a pandemic, an economic crisis, is this the right time to pursue that path?
The reason why the president is focused on this is because the time is now. But it also is an opportunity for us as we start rebuilding our economy to build it on the most firm base that we can and the one that's going to grow the most jobs. And that happens to be clean energy. This is our opportunity not just to get out of COVID-19, but to think about how we rebuild, to think about how our country rejoins the international effort, which we just did in Paris to actually address climate. But more importantly, it's going to grow jobs now.
Can I follow up with you on that very point on Paris? Of course, the Trump administration had pulled out of the agreement. So can the United States catch up to the aggressive commitments that were set in order to match its initial promises?
Yeah, of course we can. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Over the next few months, it's our job to work across the federal government to identify the opportunities for reductions. And that's going to be standard setting. And it's also going to be investment. This is not about sacrifice. People are sacrificing enough, as you can see. This is about making sure that we don't sacrifice in the future any more than we have to. And that we actually use this as an opportunity to go good, union, high pay paying jobs to actually understand how we can strengthen our economy and move it forward. So even if you don't like the idea of talking about climate change, then let's just talk about what we need to do to grow jobs in this country again and bring people the stability they expect from the United States. We will get a strong commitment when we go to Glasgow in November with other countries. There is no question about that. Director Gina McCarthy, we appreciate your time and your perspective this morning. Thanks so much. Take care. Right. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.